a lot of action here. Had a wonderful time here yesterday evening with all three of the little cubs out. Oh, it's rusty for you. Steph on YouTube, you agree with me, you say it's always worth checking the den, you love the hyenas, I do too. Well, there we have, one cub, three cubs. Let's just watch where they go. Don't go into the hole. That's it. Good stuff. Wonderful. Just ease our way in. Everyone's out at the moment. Hi guys. There's Pretty and Corky and D1 and D2. November has just gone inside. And a fairly foul odor is hanging in the air over here. It smells a bit ripe, don't you think, Andrew? Mm. Beautiful. I could sit here all day. There we have Corky, who's quite dominant, and her two cubs are feeding, suckling. And there's November. She's up at the top there, Andrew. She's just behind the tree. I don't know if you can get her. She's just behind that tree there. You can hear the little ones calling. Seems to be the general sort of feeding time, and then before bedtime play. Lovely stuff. May is there, not May, November. No, I might try and sneak a little forward. There she is. Just sticking her head out now. There she is. Hi. Going down to see her mum? That's not her mum. Her mum's the one behind there. That's just a friend, family friend. Just chewing off the ear of the friend there.
I think there's no changes except that now we have got somewhere area.
Mm-hmm. Now, I think let's sit here for a little while and then we might go around that side and see if we can't get a good view of November and her mum, because what November does, of course, is that she's a lot shyer when Corky and D1 and D2 are about the place. But now you can see she's the other side of the mound and seems to be a lot more confident.
Yeah, take them out. Okay, put it up.
Hello, Ian. You're a new viewer, and you're asking the question, how long possibly can this magnificence of live safari in the wilderness of the Kruger National go on for? Ian, good news. 365 days a year for the foreseeable future, we'll be doing something similar to this. Isn't that great? Hopefully on an expanded piece of land at some stage. We'll probably have more. We're on a skeleton crew at the moment, Ian, so often we've got a walk out. Sometimes we have a drone out as well. So just keep watching. Especially if you happen to work in an office. This is an ideal thing to keep you entertained while the minutiae of office work dulls your senses. So Deborah in Ohio, I mean, you want to know where this den is and who's denning here. Everyone's denning here at the moment in our Djuma clan, Deborah, and it's a northwestern corner, or not corner, but northwestern section of Djuma, and it's on a road called Gallagher Shortcut. So Deborah, I don't know if you know the roads here or not, but that's where it is, northwest sort of section of Djuma. And there are a couple of other dens around the place that that this clan uses, but this is the only active one that we know of at the moment. I did see a very pregnant looking hyena the other day, come to think of it, so it might be worth going to check some of the other dens, because often what they do is give birth in a sort of peripheral den and then come back to the main den. There's little November. Betty, you're in Ontario, and it's a very valid question. Of course, you've obviously watched before, and you've seen the hyenas coming close to the vehicle, and you want to know if they're a threat to human beings. You say sometimes they come up to the vehicle and it looks like they want us to pet them. Betty, they definitely don't want us to pet them. If you touched a hyena, those powerful jaws would clamp around whatever you tried to touch them with astonishing speed, and you would lose whatever they're clamped about because they're very powerful jaws. But Betty, they're not really a danger to human. They can be at night, if they see you at night, and especially if you're lying down. So there's some fairly gruesome stories of people being dragged out of tents at night because they leave the doors open. So a hyena will have no fear of you if you're lying down. It's perfectly safe to camp in an area like this if you've got a closed tent, but obviously it's very hot inside. And so inexperienced people have sometimes left the tent doors open, and then a hyena can be dangerous because they will come and drag you out. But during the day, if you're standing around them, no, they will normally, in fact, 99% of the time, they will run away. So, no, they're not a danger. I wouldn't describe them as a danger to human beings. I did have one experience earlier this year. The first time it's ever happened to me, when I was walking through the bush, and I spotted a hyena, and it started to sort of stalk me. It was just kind of being inquisitive, wanted to know what I was up to, and I actually had to shout at it to make it go away. But that's the only time that's ever happened, and I mean, I think it was more curious than it was being threatening. But what you can say is that if a hyena chose to push through some kind of an attack, you could be very sure that it would win. They're very strong, very powerful, very fast. But that's the same for any animal out here. You can see very nice contrast there between the fur on the back leg of the hyena, the adult, the spots, the obvious spotting, and the black fur on the little cubs. And then November, our older cub, she's now, well, I don't know where she is, I think she may have gone back up into the mound. She's now almost 8 weeks old, and she's got almost every day we see her, she's got another spot or two. Her coat is lightening. So from about 5 weeks, she started to lose that black coat. And was that a sigh, or do you wish to say something?
Just a sigh.
Just a sigh. And again, look at the dust. So much dust for this time of year. And hyenas, interestingly, are also not seasonal breeders. So, although they have so many little ones at the same time that the impala have got their little ones, that's just by chance. They might have a peak at this time of year, but certainly they're not generally known as seasonal breeders. Vanessa and Penny Pine, obviously you heard those hyenas making a loud noise, squealing noise. I want to know if they were fighting. No, I don't think they were. I think they were just being little baby animals, and they were being very, they wanted to eat and they wanted to feed, and so they were just squealing about getting some food, squealing at their mother far more than they were squealing at each other. So no, they've got beyond the stage, you know, even if they were going to engage in sibling rivalry, they've got beyond the stage where one will kill the other, unless it's in sort of exceptional circumstances. And that, of course, I'm not sure, Penny and Vanessa, if you were referring or trying to sort of infer that there might be some kind of siblicide or sibling rivalry that could result in the death of one of the others. They're beyond that age now. And I think they're both males, so they won't fight. You can even see the fly crawling over the foot there. And B. Wilson, you're so right. You say that you enjoy looking at them, well, I do too, but that you're also learning so much about them just by spending time with them. That's exactly how we do learn about animals. We get these sort of basics from the books, and then we come and observe and see where the books are right and where the books are wrong, and then we try and interpret the behavior in new ways. And it's just so fascinating and such an opportunity to spend time with animals like this. Just wonderful stuff. And B, also, I mean, I think that they are... Nobody ever comes to Africa and says, oh, I'd like to see some hyenas, please. They always come out here and they say, well, my worst is to hear people say, we want to see the big five, because that just means they've got a really terrible travel agent. But nobody ever, I think in sort of 5 years of full-time guiding, I don't think I ever had a guest come out and say, we'd like to see some hyenas, please. It's because they've got such a bad rap, and it's such an unfair rap. They're such wonderfully interesting, fascinating creatures. Now, Zoe, you ask a very nice question. Do they go off and form other packs or clans? Remember, a hyena grouping is called a clan when they grow up, or do they stay in the clan? So normally females will stay in the natal clan, so the females will stay within the clan. They can go and form others if the clan gets very big, but then the related females will go off together. And look at that foot there. But the males are faced with an interesting choice. High-ranking males, even high-ranking males within a clan like this, stand very little chance of mating within their natal clan. So if you're born to the matriarch and you happen to be a male, you're high-ranking, you will dominate, you'll dominate other males at kills, and you'll get enough to eat, and you'll have a cushy, comfortable life. But the chances of you mating within the clan are about 3%. However, if you leave the clan as a male and go off to another clan, you sacrifice your dominance, you sacrifice your rank completely. You'll go in right at the bottom of the barrel, as it were, but you will have a 97% of hyenas are born to males that have come from somewhere else, to immigrant males. So therefore, they're males that are very low ranking. So you're faced with a choice as a male. You can live a cushy life at home, or you can go away and live a tough life, but have the chance to leave a genetic legacy. It's quite an interesting choice that hyenas are faced with. Completely unlike any other mammal I know. You can see the sort of, not scarring yet, but certainly the rubbing off of the fur on the face of the little ones there. And I think that's a result of digging and playing and possibly the old sort of scuffle that they've had between each other. Oh, and remember, we can tell the difference between these two. One of them, D1, has a left back foot with a little white patch. There it is. Whether that will be maintained into adulthood, I'm not sure. But that is D1, who's just gone down into the hole. D2 is still drinking. Now, Remy in San Diego, a very interesting question, and I was just about to say, as D1 disappeared down into the hole, I was just going to say I think she looks a little bit smaller, or he looks a bit smaller than his brother or sister, and I do think that D1 is slightly littler and maybe slightly less well-fed, and you can certainly see how D2 there is in a prime position, wasn't having to lie under her mother's heavy thigh. Well, he wasn't having to lie under his mother's heavy thigh. Maybe, therefore, Remy, that one that is suckling, D2, is actually a female. Maybe she's a female and she's just dominating this little male that we're looking at now. And you can see his face is almost hair-free. He looks a bit like his mother in that regard. Hello, Gracie, aged 8 in Ohio. You want to know if other hyena mummies will bring their babies here when they have them? Yes, Gracie, they will do that. It's exactly what they do. So, like I said, I saw a pregnant hyena just the other day, and she will probably give birth at another den, but when the babies are about 2 weeks old, she might well bring them here so that they can play with these other little ones here. And their playing and their friends are very important to help them grow up. Just like with humans, it's very important to have friends. So it is with hyenas. Not so, Andrew?
Correct.
Yes. Nice question, Gracie. This is definitely very, you can see when she breathes out there, the dust it sort of explodes up into the sky. There's little D1 looking a bit morose. Nothing to eat there. Hopefully you will be okay. So, Jerry's just pointing out to me, and it's quite interesting, is that the pads of the foot there are overlapping. And you do notice that actually in the tracks. The tracks, obviously, they're not overlapping in the tracks, but they're very squashed together, those pads. And in a cat, they're much more exploded. They're very distinct and very far apart. So if you've got a house cat with you at this stage, grab it quickly by the scruff of the neck, flip it over, and make it show you its feet. And you will see that the pads on the house cat are far more exploded. They're much further apart than the pads on the hyena, or even on your domestic dog. Not as much as they're on the cat, but certainly far less sort of compacted and squashed together than the hyena's ones. So go and get your domestic animals and have a look, everybody, and tell me if I'm wrong. So I mean, dogs probably relatively similar to the hyena, but not quite as much, and cats nothing like. And if you happen to have a pet hyena at home, well, you know, you can check that too. And you shouldn't have a pet hyena at home, by the way. Especially if you live in New York or somewhere like that. Judy, very nice question. Now, you probably don't have any idea how tall these are because the camera's so close to them. You want to know how do they compare with a German Shepherd or an Alsatian? Judy, they're much bigger. A big female weighs 70 kilograms, which is about 160 to 170 pounds. So substantially larger than a German Shepherd. I think a German Shepherd would probably weigh about 40 kilograms, if I'm not wrong. So about 100 pounds. So, I mean, yeah, quite a lot bigger. Maybe an enormous German Shepherd might weigh 50 kilograms or 110 pounds. The males weigh about 50 kilos. So they're substantially smaller than the females, 50 to 60 kilos. Nice question. So, and they stand, I mean, if you were to see me standing next to one, it wouldn't look like it was that big. But if you were to see one standing next to an Alsatian or a German Shepherd, yeah, you would, I mean, there's no comparison really. They're much larger. A brown hyena, I suppose, would be roughly the same size, if I'm not mistaken. Let's head across to Brent Leo Smith, see if he's managed to find the leopard. I'm sure I don't think he has, because I think we would have gone across a lot faster than we have now. But let's see, get an update on the tracks that he's following. He is following in what is a very thick and difficult block. So let's head across to him, get an update, and I'll try and reposition around the other side and see what we can see there. And there's a little cub chewing on a piece of grass, which of course is a normal cub thing to do, as it is a normal thing to do if you have a domestic animal. Normally it's your chair leg though, or piece of the door frame in the case of one of the staffies we once had, resulting in the cold Johannesburg night air streaming in. The other one's gone back inside, so we're just going to sit here a few more minutes. We went round the other side to check we went to the other side to check the other side, obviously, and there was Pretty fast asleep, and she was fast asleep with May, and the little one November is still inside the mound. So we'll sit here for a few more minutes, and then we'll head out quickly. Well, not quickly, we'll gently make our way to quarantine just to check. I have a feeling that maybe those wild dogs will arrive there. No one found them this morning, so nobody knows really where they are. It's always worth just checking the clearings as the evening falls in case they come out. Now, Millie in Cleveland, Ohio, made a sort of throwaway comment about hyenas with pets. And you say, have I ever heard of the hyena men of Nigeria or the hyena men of Harar? I think the Harar ones are in Ethiopia, if I'm not mistaken, unless I've got it mixed up. But there are, I always forget where the story exactly. The ones in Ethiopia, I think, Millie, are a sort of cult family of people that have sort of lived and feed hyenas off a rubbish dump, and they've done that for many, many years. I think that's the story in Ethiopia, and they've got a sort of almost cultish fascination with them, but it's only one family of people that feeds these hyenas, and it's on a kind of a big landfill site, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in Ethiopia. I'm not sure where exactly. I'm really irritated with myself that I don't remember this. And then in Nigeria, There's also a group of people who have hyenas, and I think it's more for kind of a, you know, you've seen those pictures where it says Nigerian debt collector. They're not used for debt collection. I think they're more used as almost sort of circus animals where, you know, people will take them around the place and show them to you and make them do tricks, and then you can pay them to do that. Not a very nice life for a hyena. I think that's the case. Millie, please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, and I think that's in Lagos in Nigeria. So two sort of almost domesticated examples of hyenas. I think they would have been domesticated a lot more if it was an easy process. I don't think it's an easy process to domesticate a hyena. Now, is that D1 or D2, Andrew? Can you tell? Where is the little white sock? And Jennifer in Toronto, of course, you make a very good point. If you are watching at work, your colleagues might become slightly alarmed by the noises coming out of the speakers at your desk. The simple, of course, solution to that is headphones. But yes, absolutely. I just imagine, I've worked in an office for about 6 months, and that was only twice a week, and it nearly drove me stark raving insane. And I can just imagine some of those long meetings where people waffle on just for the sake of hearing their own voices. I imagine having this thing on an iPad where you're pretending to take notes would be a fascinating way to spend a boring boardroom meeting while some guy went through 60-page financial report. I mean, that's far more entertaining than a 60-page financial report, don't you think, Andrew?
Mm-hmm.
Lots of loose skin there. Now, Sharon in Pittsburgh, look at that little thing being licked very clean. That would probably take the skin off you or I. But the little one's loving it. Sharon in Pittsburgh, you say you look at the adult and you say very little fur. Is that from the dirt, or are they just not very furry? Are they? They get less and less furry the older they get, Sharon. Very short fur, and you can see Corky's got hardly any hair on her head at all, and also not much on the hindquarters. That's from fighting. It's from dirt. It's from wear and tear. They don't need a great deal of hair, of course. They don't need it to try and keep warm, unless it's deep in the winter. And I suspect they probably it gets a bit thicker during the winter time, but at this time of the year, certainly very thin. But the youngsters, the younger ones, and Andrew will just, before we go, he'll show you, oh, look at that, just not yet, a picture of May, who's got much longer fur. And you say they don't seem concerned with hygiene at all. No, they don't. And there's a reason, well, not a reason, there's a benefit of that, and that is that they have incredibly powerful constitutions. Many of the other cats will clean their faces after a kill to avoid the disease and bacteria that comes with having sort of rotting flesh in your fur. But hyenas don't seem to bother too much with that stuff at all. Round about this time yesterday, Corky got up and walked off, and the cubs went inside and the rest went off with her. It's so sweet. Sarah in New York, you've just told a story that's made my blood run cold. You were somewhere, I couldn't get where exactly, but you were lying on a daybed watching the stars, and a hyena licked your feet, and you shone your torch and it ran off. Sarah, please don't do that again. I think you're quite lucky to still have both feet. Lovely adventure and story to tell, but could have ended very differently indeed. Where were you? I think you did say, I just didn't hear it exactly. At a place called Karangaia. I don't know where Karangaia is. Well, it sounds fascinating with the little thing now getting more and more. I think this is definitely the dominant one. Oh no, that's D2. At least D1, that's the one with a little bit of white. Look, getting a bit nervous now. Back to the den. Wants to follow Mum. So sweet. Thinking about going to see... Oh, look at this thing. Ah, thank you, right, I've just got it back. Karangaia apparently is in Tanzania, and it is, it's the 6th largest national park in Tanzania, and that's where you were, Sarah. Sarah, do not repeat that experience, please. I think you'll come back with 1 foot. Phew. Of course, a hyena would never have approached you like that if you'd been standing upright or during the day. It's a very adventurous little chap, this. Now, Bethany and Virginia, I've said that maybe these are 2 males, D1 and D2, and you want to know if they grow up together, will one of them be more dominant over the other, especially as they are, as sons of a dominant female, will they lead the clan? Males have no role in the leadership at all, Bethany. The males are smaller than the females, and they will have no leadership role. And they will share the rank. They'll probably share a very similar rank, these 2 males, if they do grow up in the clan. They could leave the clan, of course, and go and become very low-ranking males in another clan, but they will play no leadership role within this clan. And that's because they're males. And if they stay in the clan, yes, they'll be dominant in the male hierarchy, but almost the entire male hierarchy is dominated by all the females. Even the low-ranking females will often dominate some of the high-ranking males. Now, this is exactly what happened yesterday evening. Round about this time, just as it was starting to get dark, the hyenas decided it was time to go off and forage and find something to eat. Oh, shame. Look at the little one. Doesn't want Mummy to go and doesn't want Auntie Pretty to go either. The only one left with them now is May. And I don't think she'll go anywhere. Well, she might. No, that's not May, is it, Andrew? She's too big. Or is it? Oh, that's not a year-old one. At least an 8-month-old. May is only 7 months old now. I mean, she would start to move with the clan now. Yeah, maybe that's what's going on here. Isn't that amazing? Exactly what they did last night, but they went down the other way. And they seem to be on a bit of a mission, either on a patrol or they know something about a bit of food. Except they'd be running if they thought there was food. A wonderful little scene. And off they go into the night and try and find something to eat. They'll either bring it back to the den or feed on it there and bring it back for the youngsters in the form of milk. And there's the little one watching. Don't worry, D1, they'll come back. And that's that. Isn't that fantastic? Right, we've come out onto the road, everybody, and there is Pretty. She's doing a bit of a turnaround now. There she goes. She's walked down the road, turned 180 degrees, and is now moving into the bush back towards the den. Straight along a path. Now this is classic kind of foraging behavior. There's nothing really obviously smelling in the air, so they're not rushing towards a kill. They're just looking about for anything that they might eat. She's a beautiful hyena, that she really is a very magnificent example of Hyena Den. And as Jerry says, they don't need to forage. They can just come and steal the dustbin like they did last night. One of them broke in yesterday to our camp, dragged the dustbin out and destroyed it. I don't know what on earth they found to eat in there that was of any deliciousness. And thankfully they didn't spread the muck too far, so it wasn't too hard to clean up. Magnificent set of chompers she's got there. Now, I know that many of you are still asking about that hyena that was injured last week, 2 weeks ago now, the one that had its foot broken and then its ear ripped off. I'm afraid, everybody, we haven't seen that hyena again. We don't know what happened to her, and I suspect quite strongly that she has shaken off this mortal coil and gone on to better things. Right, that's it from us this afternoon. Another fairly quiet drive, but lots of nice little things, and at least Brent was on the track, so big thank you to him, and big thank you to Tebbs, big thank you to Andrew Francis, the beach-dressed drone commander. Thank you, Andrew. And a big thank you to Jerry and Louise. I always say Louise for some reason. They've had a good time, and thank you to all of you. We'll see you tomorrow during the morning safari at 0500. See you then. Bye-bye.